Hello, I'm James Toy, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs for KCRAR. You're about to watch one of our candidate interviews, an unfiltered, front row look at how those seeking office approach the issues that shape private property rights and the real estate industry as a whole. We share these conversations publicly so you can hear directly from the candidates, understand their positions in their words, and cast your vote with confidence.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate, we're going to keep it short and sweet for you. We do have a series of 8 questions here, and if you would indulge us, I'd like to go ahead and kick us off. But
Sure.
first, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the office you're running for, I think that would be very helpful.
Sure. I think, well, Brenna knows, but anyway, I actually really don't even begin to start because there's a lot. But a little bit about myself is I was a housewife for 18 years. I got into real estate in 1994 after my husband passed away, and I have been at it for almost now 32 years. I have absolutely loved being a real estate agent, and I've loved being able to help people. This is my market here in Lee Summit predominantly. In 2011, I broke off. I was with Reese and Reese and Nichols for 10 years, then Keller, and then I broke off in 2011 and started the Cynda Sales Real Estate Company. Now, I had been Cynda Sales all along. That was my brand from the beginning. And so about 12 years ago, I thought I would like to get involved with the city. So I got on the tax review board, water utilities board, loved it, enjoyed these people, working with people and getting a little bit more inside of what goes on at the city of Lee Summit. And then in 2019, I joined the Planning Commission, loved it, and decided that if I loved planning, that I would dip my toe in the water and go on to council, which I ran for council unopposed in 23. Well, I got onto council and I realized that, to be honest, to make a big difference, you to really know what is going on and really make a difference, you really need to be the mayor. That's how I felt about it. So I am very, very passionate about attainable homes, and I have been since I was on planning and started with council. And I ran that with council, attainable homes, job creation. In Lee Summit, we are incentivizing a lot of developers, and we've had a lot of development here. And what's happening is apartments. I feel like, and so do many, many other people, residents here, believe that there have just been so many apartments that have come up the last 4 or 5 years and no path for, attainable homes. We're not building townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, things like that would be more affordable. It's very hard to build a single family home that way, understand. But also know that we're going to have to come up with different options for housing, panelized construction. I talked with a builder down in Springfield who, Brad King, who would love to come here. He is working with a company that he designs the plans and then submits those plans to a company that actually builds them in a factory. They're called Frame Ready. You may have heard that. And then they bring them out. They can be put up within 90 to 120 days. They're energy efficient, hurricane proof, all those things. So there are options for us to build something different than the stick built home. And I know I'm kind of the one trick pony with the housing, but of course that has been my life for the last 32 years. And I'm really passionate about it because I talk to many, many residents, and they are in line with this. They feel like that we've got to start offering other options. Then, of course, job creation goes right along with that. I had lunch with the Mid-States Distribution the first of this week, and they are a company they've been here in Lee Summit, but they're expanding. So they came before council to ask for an incentive, which we gave them. They're going to create, 100 more jobs. We talked about. They said, well, we're having a hard time getting people to go to work here. And I said, well, are you partnering with the school district? Because they are going to start doing robotics and are schools here, our high schools have got robotic programs. And so I was thinking this would be a really good way to match up our, our high schools with this company in order to get kids into training. With it's a supply chain business is what it is. So, but so I've been working a lot in that direction. I don't know how much you want to know. I mean, I could go on for an hour, but I'll touch a little bit about incentives. So, I believe in incentives. I think they are great tools for helping bring businesses to our city. However, the piece that I'm not in love with is the incentivizing of the apartments, because the developers, I'm all about people making profit, but the developers typically will build the apartments and they sell them, and they take those incentives with them, and we're left holding the bag with infrastructure. We have to maintain that infrastructure before we even get the money. 23 could be 23 years down the road. And so I just worry about the economic future of Lee Summit with, millions and millions and millions going out the door, incentivizing developers that they come in and we partner with them, but they don't really partner with us. So they're not in this community. They come in to build and they leave. And I know it's complicated and there's a lot to that, a lot more to that, but just on the fringe of that. And then there's, of course, public safety. We have to support our police and fire so that they can support us. And I will tell you that I have spoken with, and I'm friends with the chief of police and many of the police officers here, and they tell us that our property crime has tripled because of apartments. And so that's the other thing I worry about is the safety of citizens here, and the fact that they park their cars in the parking lots and they're having everything stolen from their cars. So I'm not a hater on apartments. We are out of balance. That is what I'm looking at. And we are not offering options for people to own like I believe that we should, because this is what Lee Summit was founded on, was home ownership, land ownership. And I want to see development. I want to see us grow responsibly.
Well, that's a wonderful intro and very much appreciate that. It sounds as though you've taken significant time to verse yourself with the various issues. You've consulted with outside parties and you understand the importance of home ownership. I am kind of curious in a more direct sense, as both a council member and a realtor, how has those backgrounds shaped your view of housing needs in Lee Summit? Have you found that your practice as a realtor has influenced your policy decisions?
Absolutely. Because, I've worked with many different types of buyers, high-end buyers, lower end buyers, as far as pricing goes. And absolutely it's impacted. And I think serving on council and planning commission, it's opened my eyes as to, really what goes on at the city. But yeah, I I am going to continue to push for attainable homes. And what is an attainable home? An attainable home is not a $150,000 home. We all know that, right? But it is going to have to be a multifamily type of situation, I would think, a townhome or something like that, or something that's out of the realm, like I said before, of the stick build. I don't know if I'm quite answering your questions, but yes, housing has absolutely impacted my policies. Well, let me tell you this in case I didn't already say that. When I got onto planning commission, and of course we get to recommend to the council. We don't get to make decisions as far as the final decisions on preliminary plats or final plats for a developer. But that's been since 2019. I have been harping about the fact that we were not building attainable homes here. So I don't know if I answered that, James, your question exactly, but if you're saying is housing impacting the policies at the city? Yeah, for sure, because it's a big one here. It's a big one all over the country.
No, I feel as though you properly addressed that. I am kind of curious. You talked a lot about economic development. And that's certainly something that we as an organization, we absolutely champion that. I would say it's one of our chief priorities. And it's funny because every community wants development, but they never want to lose those core characteristics that make their community unique. So, how would you plan as mayor of Lee Summit to balance the unique cultural needs and characteristics of your community with that growing need for job creation and growth?
So we have to, we've grown very, very, very quickly this last 8 years since Mayor Baird has been. And we have given away a lot of money and incentives. And I guess what I just want to see is I really want to slow the roll a little bit, to be honest with you. I don't feel like we have to develop every single piece of property that is in Lee Summit. And I feel like our residents are the same way. Now, I understand the economic impact that development has on our city. We must have that in order to grow. We're getting ready to take on 4,000 acres, maybe hopefully someday, of the Mormon land. So the Mormons came in, it's called PRI land. I don't know if you've heard of it. And there's 3,000 on the south side of Lee Summit and about 2,000 on the north side of Lee Summit. North side is slated for industrial. That would be along 291, industrial, and then some mix of residential behind that, which follows towards Prairie View Lake. Over on the south side is going to be predominantly residential, but they also have activity centers where there may be an opportunity for a data center or some commercial industrial type of businesses, things like that. So I think what I'm really saying, James, is that I think we've grown too fast. And I think we've in that this apartment piece of it, because we have the council prior to me was taking our commercial land, which I believe we need to keep for commercial land so that those businesses that want to come here can be there, and turning them into apartments. And that is a big frustration of mine. We've got a giant apartment complex going up on Douglas right now, Douglas and Tudor, and that was all to be done. That was all supposed to be commercial on there, and people are very much complaining about it. It's ugly. It's 4 stories high. It's just things like that. So I think that we have to. I believe that we need to take a step back with our comprehensive plan, our Ignite plan, and look at it, because we kind of been going toward that direction. But now that it's materialized and we're seeing it up, the buildings are up, we're kind of like, wait. Maybe this is more than we anticipated. We had a 65-35 split. So 65 was supposed to be single family and 35 was supposed to be multifamily. Well, that multifamily was supposed to include the townhomes, the duplexes, that. We haven't been getting that. It's just been multifamily apartments. So that's what I would probably do, is maybe take a step back for a moment and say, okay, let's look at our comprehensive plan and really see, do we need to tweak this? Do we need to look at it? Do we need to make sure that we're not outpacing ourselves? And then with incentives and giving money away, and how's that going to look for our future? So hope that answers your question.
No, I think that was a great answer. And so really, you're not looking to just do a complete all above stop, just kind of pump the brakes, reassess, and kind of see where you're at as a community.
Yes. And I think I will say that there are other people that are running for council right now that have the exact same attitude, that we're just we need to slow the roll a little bit, never stop. No, I don't want to stop. But I do want the community to, I want us, and I know this is a hard thing, I want us to keep that small town. We won't, but you know what I'm saying? But the feel of it, because we have an amazing downtown. We've run awards for our downtown here in Lee Summit. We've done good, but that was a vision that was started 40 years ago. And so it didn't happen all of a sudden, and things don't have to happen all of a sudden, right? It needs to be more thoughtful. It needs to be more thoughtful and more purposeful, and not just like, somebody walks in and wants to build something, sure, build it. And that's kind of what that sounds like, a criticism, but it's kind of happened. So.
Sure. And Jeff, see you have your hand raised.
Well, I'm just saying, are you suggesting perhaps maybe a citywide strategic plan to make sure that what you're doing and the path that you're on is aligning with what the council and what the citizens want? Is that what you're saying?
So Jeff, we had we had our Ignite plan, which is our strategic and comp plan. But that was done during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot of things have changed since then.
That a lot of things have changed since then. And what happened, and I was on that strategic committee. And then of course we got on planning. And I got to tell you that when we got on planning, we were tasked with passing that. And just to be honest, I was not fully informed of my bad. I was not really fully informed of the impact. When we had the split of 65-35, I didn't realize what that was going to do with regards to apartments that were going to be able to come to Lee Summit. And it's changed our landscape here. It has changed the landscape. We have so much more traffic here. We have so many more infrastructure needs here since all these people are coming. And so
well, I will tell you, you're kind of preaching to the choir, because I'm the chairman of planning and zoning for my community, for the unified government. So I know exactly what you're saying, and I know Dan's got a lot of experience as well in planning and urban design as well. So please know that I know where you're coming. And I look at apartments. I think you're right. You talk about measured growth and looking at the amount versus what you're doing as far as single family, because I always look at the need for good quality multifamily. We certainly need it, because while these folks are not my customers today, I look to them to be my customers down the road. We have to get them in our communities. We have to get them used to buying things at our stores and going to our restaurants, because they're typically going to buy pretty close to where they rented. And so while they may not be my customers today, we're going to get them sold on Lee Summit, and they're going to wind up buying a home as soon as they're able to in Lee Summit, because this is where they've been living and where they've been shopping, and this is their community.
Yeah. And so there you go, right there. But we have to be able to provide those options for them when they're ready to buy. And that's the piece that I feel like that we're missing, is our little first time, our public workers, our police and fire. There's only like 40% of our police and fire that live here in Lee Summit. It's not that. And same thing with teachers.
And that's not necessarily a Lee Summit problem. That's a
I know it is.
It really is. The people that drive our buses and feed our kids and things like that at the schools, teach our kids, cannot afford to live in our communities.
And so it's just like, and I know we can't fix everything for everybody. I get that. But anyway, so you asked me, go back to your question, or maybe I answered that question that you had, Jeff.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good. And I think we all feel as realtors, many of us feel this way, like we're kind of losing the ability to be able to help people to buy, because it's just, they're moving into apartments. Yeah.
Well, Jeff, thank you for those questions. I thought those were phenomenal. And Dan and Brenda, I want to make sure that you both have ample opportunity to ask questions. If one of you would like to jump in.
We can't
Brenda,
hear you.
go ahead if you're muted, if you want to jump in first, Brenda.
I guess now I'm unmuted, right? Can you hear me? Okay. Well, I wish I'd got to introduce Cynda at the beginning of this and say how she has been a very visible and a very successful realtor throughout her whole career. I really got to know her well when she's branched off and started her own firm, and she had a track record of always hiring successful people, training them well. She wasn't a body shop. All the things I admired about her. And I think you all have picked up now she's a very genuine person and she has a good command of social media, even before she got involved in politics. So I think that serves her well in her campaign. I, uh, I don't think anybody could argue with that her heart is in the right place and she's running for the mayor because she wants the best for her community. Her big challenge is that Lee Summit's a big personality. They've always been the poster child of Eastern Missouri, and everybody wants to be like Lee Summit. So having her strong personality is going to be a big benefit for that part of our state, and what she'll do will definitely be an asset for realtors and our futures and our business, not only the residents of Lee Summit, but people that are working in the real estate industry. So one of the things I thought maybe we ought to segue into is a little bit about your campaign and how the Realtor Association can help with that. You made a comment about other people, other candidates that are running for city council. Do you have opposition in the mayor's race?
I do. And what's interesting is my opponent is in my district, so we're in the same district. Beto Lopez. Now, people, I will tell you this, and people will say to me, well, tell me the difference between you and your opponent. And I always tell them, I'm not going to talk about my opponent. It's kind of like when I went out to interview for a job to be hired to be a real estate agent, and people would say, well, we had Susie Q Camp come out here. How are you different from her? I don't talk about Susie Q. I'm here to talk about me. You'll have to find out. You'll have to decide that yourself. So I think I'm hoping it's going to be a really clean race. He is, we're on kind of on opposite ends. I will say that, but,
has he served on the council before?
Yes.
Has he been on the council?
Yeah, he's been on the council now for 7.5 years. He's the mayor pro tem, and he's been the mayor pro tem the whole time. But I was going to say, I think when I filled out the interview sheet, I wanted to express something to you that I think is really important. I have tried to talk to some of the brokerages out here, and they have said no. And I don't know why, because regardless of whether I'm a realtor or not, it doesn't make any difference. What we do as council impacts our real estate community. It impacts every single citizen here. Zoning changes and decisions that we make with development and everything else impacts every realtor here. It impacts their ability to be able to build, for builders to be able to build homes and realtors to be able to sell those homes. So it's just like, I tried to get the recent nickel brokerage here to talk to me, and he said that they weren't going to do that, and because he'd have to have the other one. I said, do it. Have both of us come out and speak to your office so that people will know what each candidate is about, and then they can decide for themselves who they think is the best candidate. And so that's been the one thing that I've been kind of disappointed about. Is I talked to Cliff over at Realty Executives, and they said they were going to have Beto come out, and I said, well, have me come out too, so that they can hear what's going on. So that would be the only thing that I would love for us, the realtor community, say, this isn't political, guys. This is important for you and your ability to be able to continue to do business here and help you understand what goes on, because you don't know about zoning or things like that until you get into a situation where you're trying to sell a piece of land and the city has stopped everything that's gone on there because there's a creek in the middle of it or whatever it may be. You have to go before the city, those planning commissioners and different people, to understand how you can sell that piece of property. So it's really important for them to know and be a little bit more versed, I believe. That's been my experience. And Brenda, I know it's been your experience too.
I agree. So Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. So It's good to always talk with a fellow councilman. I know we call ourselves aldermen, but the makeup is the same. It looks like you've got 8 of you, in total. Is that correct? 8 council. I guess I'd be interested to know how you've been able to work together with them on difficult situations and not, generally, I'm guessing the board's pretty works pretty well together. And then the second piece, has there ever been a situation where you've really opposed something because it hasn't been realtor friendly? And how did you kind of handle that with your fellow council?
Dan, that's been tough. I mean, we had a situation. Let's see, how can I answer this? If you want me to stay specific with realtor friendly, I have I have a good relationship with all my fellow council people. We don't agree on things, but we're always very respectful. Behind the scenes and in front of on the dais. So I think the biggest thing that I have begged them is to not incentivize apartments. Just please don't incentivize any more apartments. And if we're going to incentivize, then we need to incentivize everything. And the school districts don't like that, right? But because it takes money out of their pockets. And I agree. But it's just like we can't keep giving them money and not think about how can we get attainable homes into Lee Summit. We could incentivize infrastructure. We could do something like that to help that happen. So that's been the biggest opposition that I have had on council with regard to housing. Now, I don't know if y'all heard about our trash thing here, our citywide trash. There were a lot of there are council people that wanted the trash. I didn't really want the trash, a citywide trash. And what that entailed was basically Lee Summit would have one trash provider. And we had a tremendous amount of residents coming out against it on social media. They were shocked. We had 100 people at a council meeting the other day, which never have had that many people in the audience. And I decided to, and you can watch, I think it was on December 3rd. I went against the grain because I kind of go against the grain a lot with things, just and not to be adversarial, just because I believe I'm listening to my constituents and here's what they're telling me and I'm trying to represent them. But anyway, that turned into it actually turned out well because I told the council I was no longer going to support any part of the trash initiative. Our citizens don't want it, and we're going to risk getting into lawsuits and everything else. And so no. And the next week, the mayor came out and said, we're going to put this to a vote of the citizens and not just make the decision on behalf of the citizens. So I felt that was a really good, well, I don't want to say win, but it kind of felt a little bit like a win because it was like I felt like they finally listened and agreed that this was causing a lot of problems in our community. People were getting angry and mad, calling us names, and we needed to let it go.
Excellent, thank you. And I didn't realize you guys are a charter form of government. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. We are.
Okay. That makes sense. I was, Jeff, I know you probably have different forms of government over there. We have class of cities. There's very few cities in the state of Missouri that are charter cities. I think there's only about 5 or 6 total. So anyway, doesn't matter. I appreciate you answering the question. We have a
little bit different set of rules of things that we do. Yeah, I guess.
Well, it's funny. While the rules are different, the issues are much the same. It's funny how trash and a school drop-off line can divide an entire city. I mean, it's the littlest things will literally put neighbor against neighbor, over things like that.
For sure.
No, thank you for answering that. And It's tough when you have situations are divided, and hopefully it isn't that way since you've started running. But it sounds like
No,
you're grounded and have a good foundation, and you just have to do what you feel is best, and you hope your fellow council folks are with you on it. So
you know something, guys, and Brenda, thank you for those beautiful comments. That was so kind of you, and I've loved Brenda and admired her for years as well. And we went to NAR together, and she invited me to go, and that was on my bucket list. So it was great. But I was just going to say, when real estate, and actually we're being criticized right now for being real estate agents because Mayor Baird has been tremendously criticized for the fact that he has listed a lot of commercial properties since he has been on our mayor. Now, I try to explain to people, when you network with businesses, or you network with anybody, right? You meet more people, and that's what we do to be successful in this business. Is we try to help people, but we also try to expand our around us, so that we get to know more people, so that we get to work with more people. But what I was going to say was that, leadership is a very big piece of what we do as counsel, and what we do with our clients, and helping them out of difficult situations, leading them and consulting them. That, Dan, this is the same thing. What we're trying to do is lead people, but we're also trying to listen, teach them, counsel them, and help them understand that we're not against you. We're with you. We're trying to help you. That's my attitude. I wouldn't, at my age, my kids are asking me, Mom, why in the heck are you doing this? And I'm like, I feel like I must do it. I feel like I am, this is really important. It's probably, don't say anything to anybody. It's probably my last hurrah, if it's a hurrah. But, I just feel compelled that that I really need to do this for my community, because I've been here 50 years, raised my kids here, and Lee Summit is important to me. Surrounding us is important to me. And I'm going to tell you guys something that I thought of the other day, which I love that I thought of this. But you guys, I know you all remember Ronald Reagan. And he was one of my most favorite presidents. And he said he wanted, I believe, when he was talking about the United States being a beacon on the hill. Well, that's how I look at Lee Summit, as us being a beacon on the hill. And that's not as a suburb of Kansas City, but our own area out here, to be a model and good example for the cities that are southern to us, which are Harrisonville, Cass County, those areas back there, because those people are going to come here, I think, to shop and visit our restaurants and come to our malls and things like that. And that's kind of who I want to be the example for, and just continue to make this a good city, a place where people really do want to come and live, and bring their industries here, and their businesses, small businesses, large businesses, all of that, and know that they're going to be welcomed, and that we're going to partner and help them grow their businesses and their lives.
No, I really like that. And I will say, I think it's so inspiring that you want to turn Lee Summit into this example for the region, and really identify your own unique characteristics and strengths, and try to share that with your other municipalities in the area. Just one final question for me. If you are elected mayor, how would you plan to work with both realtors and KCRAR in terms of housing policy?
Well, I mean, I'm going to work with you guys. I mean, I've worked with you, and that is nothing is going to change. And I would like to have more interaction. And I'm hoping that we will have more interaction, so that, I can share with you. Derek Ramsey and we used to have many, many, many conversations about what was going on. He talked a lot about Kansas City, and that part of that part of Kansas City. But we had conversations about chickens, and all. Supposed to laugh, because that was another one of how many chickens can you have. But anyway, but no, I mean, I fully intend to be even more engaged with KCRAR, and I coach a lot of realtors. I wrote a book You might want to know this. I wrote a book. Can you see it? Insert Insider Secret, Sell Real Estate. This was a manual for real estate agents to learn how to sell real estate. And it gave a lot of good tips. It talks a lot about leadership and how you consult with clients. But I'm not saying that to plug it, but I'm just saying that I have been extremely involved, and I was director. I think I was Sunflower director at one point. Nothing is going to change as far as I'm concerned. I want to interact with you guys. I want to talk to you about our issues and brainstorm with maybe things that we can come up with, policies that can help us achieve the attainable homes. I mean, I am open for all of that and want to stay connected and interact with you guys. It's just important it's a huge piece of life. Housing is a huge piece of life, right? People want to have the American dream. They want to be able to, at some point, know that they can own a home. And even though the narrative is not that, I don't believe it. I believe when I talk to people, they still want to know that they can own. And you're important to me. So I just want to make sure that we're working back and forth and communicating, and you're telling me things that I need to know, and I'm telling you things. So is that what you're kind of asking me? Is that, no, you're stuck with me. So.
Well, no, I think that was very well said, and very much appreciate the answer on that. Did not know you were a published author. Made sure to make a note of that. But does anyone have any last minute questions?
Yeah, just one last minute. Cynda, I kind of understand sometimes when any race ran well, and I'm confident you will run your race well and you will connect with the people. I mean, I was looking up 106,000 plus 108,000, 69 square miles. It's a lot of territory to cover, but it sounds like we were waiting for everybody to come on, that you have a good strategy. And I know how hard it is sometimes when you may not necessarily be the favorited candidate. And I don't know or claim to know the relationship with Mayor Baird or, Beto, your fellow council member, but I would just say that, just kind of keep your head high, keep doing what you need to do, have a strategy, to connect with those people, and that'll flush itself out. I have a feeling, just based on, connections throughout that area, is maybe that's what you're up against. And I'm not going to sit here and assume I know that, but how do you feel that's kind of accurate, that they're kind of Mayor Baird's kind of leaning towards Beto just because he's been mayor pro temp? And
Oh,
maybe,
absolutely. Oh, yeah. He's absolutely supporting Beto. And I'm not worried about that. I'm going to put my head down, and I'm going to work. And I'm going to walk 200 houses at least a week. And I have got a wonderful committee. I've got wonderful people on my team, people that love Lee Summit and want us to continue to thrive and prosper. And I really don't feel that I don't feel uneasy about competing with him at all. And I will tell you that I don't generally pick a battle that I don't think I can win. So I believe I can win it. And if he decides to play dirty, that's him. I'm not going to, I've never done it, and I'm never going to do it. And, but I'll defend myself, but I'm not going to, and Beto, Beto has said things that I've heard behind the scenes that I didn't appreciate, but I just keep going because that's what I do.
Very good. No,
and I appreciate you saying that, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's politics. And you know what? I always said I don't like politics. And I've learned a lot of things. And it's just like, okay, if this is how we're going to play this game, then so be it.
I want to leave with a word of advice. I had a conversation last week with a successful professional who said to me, Brenda, you know that I've found the more people you know, the luckier you are. And my thought was, you just figured that out. And I think your name recognition is a positive thing. The one piece of advice I might give you is I would invest 30 minutes in trying to sit down and write a definition of incentivized development and talk about what a TIF is and maybe relate that to selling our children's future against getting something today. And so that you have the words at the tip of your tongue when you want to articulate one of the main concerns you have is incentivized in industrial development or commercial development of any kind. But you just keep plugging away, and we got your back. And I think you're doing a noble thing, and I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Brenda. And I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly what we're getting ready to do. Because, and I'm going to actually do a video. I've got three videos I have to write before Monday, and we're going to talk about that. And I love the way you said it, selling our children's future. That's perfect. And that's going to hit people. It's going to hit them, because that's what we're doing, is selling their future.
I mean, we had a hard time in my community ever getting anybody to understand what a TIF was.
Yes.
So
they don't,
do not understand what you're weighing in the balance of that.
Well, that's because they're looking at the results of it. They're seeing a new restaurant or a Costco, the Costco. And, when Costco came to town, when it was on the council, last week or whatever, I said, if we don't have enough disposable income here in Lee Summit to support a Costco, without $110 million worth of incentives and incentivizing apartment complex, then this isn't a market-driven project. And that's what we need to start looking at. And I know a lot of people don't understand it that way. You guys do, but you're exactly right. We got to talk at that level and make people understand what a TIF is and what the LCRAs are and those things like that, because they just think, well, I'm getting a Costco and a new restaurant, but they don't realize there may be a price to pay on down the road when we can't keep up with infrastructure. So thank you, Brenda. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Brenda, good advice. And Cynda, you should also reach out to Brenda when you need a good joke or an icebreaker at
I
speech,
should.
because she is the best at it. She is the best. Am I right, Dan? You're laughing already. You're laughing just thinking about some of the past ones.
Yeah, when I get beat up, I'll call Brenda. I'll be crying and she'll make me laugh.
I never want to follow her on stage. If she's going before me, I'm going out the back door.
Thank you. That's a nice compliment.
Well, council member, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really all greatly appreciate it. And thank you to Dan and Brenda for taking some time out of your busy schedules to be here as well. And unless anyone has any final comments or questions, I think we're good to adjourn.
Thank you.
Hey, James, before you go, James, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So glad.
Appreciate that.
I know Jeff's probably jumping up and down and clapping.
Love having the help. That's for sure.
I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you too, Cynda.
You too. Thank you.